details of the recent Honjofu counter to their raids, and his own defeat at the hands of the squad's leader, Misataki Shizumi. Though, given her reputation as perhaps the finest warrior in all Rimbaku, it was hardly to be seen as a stain upon Kazuko's reputation or prowess. At least, not by most. Lai was mocking as well, but not of him. "Footbone," she said with a dismissive laugh. "Bone warrior. These Rimbakans are so obsessed with their bones. It is all they care about." "It is all that they have left," Ritei added. He banged a mailed fist down upon the table they had gathered around. "And that makes them weak." "Perhaps," Lai agreed, though her tone and demeanor were more contemplative than gloating. "But nonetheless, we will treat them as we would any serious foe. We cannot risk losing this battle by underestimating them." The others nodded, though Oicha could tell his fellow generals thought such caution was unnecessary. He sighed. He'd served in the army all his life, clawing his way up from a common foot soldier to a junior officer, and then through the ranks as much by dint of longevity as anything else, and he often despaired of his peers and their brash, arrogant ways. Lai he respected, and Kazuko he considered capable, but many of the others, including En and Ritei, had never been forced to manage a years-long campaign, had never laid siege or been forced to break one. They knew nothing of the slog that often accompanied war, only the quick victory of raids and short incursions. Why, both of them wore armor without a single scratch or dent, its lacquered surface still unmarred. Had they ever even seen real battle? Without Lai here to keep them in line, he knew they would have already marched on, overreaching themselves and overextending their forces in the hopes of a decisive early conquest. But that was not how war worked. A soldier entered the room, dropping to one knee, head bowed, hands clasped and raised before him. "Speak," Lai commanded, and the soldier rose, though he remained where he was, his raised voice carrying across the room. "An emissary, honored Dogenriku," he called out. "Come to sue for peace." En and Ritei sneered, and Lai's lips twisted as well, but none of that was evident in her tone as she ordered, "Show them in." The soldier bowed, then ducked back through the door. An instant later, a different man entered in his place. It was obvious at once that this newcomer was not part of their forces. He wore formal robes and the small flat cap of a bureaucrat instead of armor, and the sword at his side had a handsome scabbard, its lacquer perfectly glossed as if even the intermittent rain did not dare mar its sheen. If the man had ever drawn that blade except for ceremony, Oicha would have been shocked into immobility. The stranger advanced across the room, stopping beside the table and executing a short bow. It was the gesture of an equal, or even a superior, barely more than a nod of the head and a slight incline of the shoulders. He was not young, but not yet old, his face rounded by prosperity, his hair pulled back in a short, ornate braid, his whiskers neatly trimmed and frosted at their tips. Clearly he was not of this village, for all the residents Oicha had seen here had worn rough-woven hemp and cotton, not brocade and embroidery. "Who leads here?" the man demanded, his eyes sweeping the five of them. "I do," Lai replied, tipping her own head a fraction. "I'm Yanatai Lai, Dogenriku of Kyushu." "Zeryai Nimbaru," the stranger replied, his eyes widening slightly at either her name or her rank, but his bearing remained arrogant despite that. "I am Karo of Korito, and you have unlawfully crossed our border, violating the ages-old treaty between our two nations. I must insist that you withdraw your forces at once." Lai frowned, studying him a second. Then she laughed. "No, I don't think so," she said. "We went to enough trouble marching through the hills to get here. I don't feel like picking up and going back just yet." En and Ritei both chuckled, and even Oicha allowed himself a grim smile at his commander's dark humor. Ninbaru was not fazed by their ridicule. "I insist," the regional governor repeated, his hand falling to his sword pommel. Oicha instinctively reached for his own weapon, as did Kazuko, but a quick flick of Lai's fingers made him pause. "You cannot be here," their visitor was saying. "You risk all-out war." "Risk?" Lai rounded the table, stalking toward him like a great hunting cat, all glittering eyes and sharp teeth and deadly grace. "It is no risk," she informed him, stopping with only a few feet separating her from the man. "It is our intent. We have come to invade your precious Rimbaku, you pompous little man, and we will not leave until this entire crumbling kingdom has bent its knee to Rilani, empress of all she surveys." Their visitor gaped at her. "You are mad," he cried, his face going flush.